This week's summit of G20 Finance Ministers and some major success for President Trump's trade agenda and U.S. dollar diplomacy. America's Kristian Rouz has our report.
Another big victory for President Trump's America First agenda as the world's financial leaders abandon the language they used to fight inward-looking trade policies. In the communique or closing statement of its most recent summit, the G20 committed to further dialogue and action on international trade, effectively accepting the Trump administration's urge to renegotiate the global trade framework in order to make it more reciprocal and fair.
First of all, everybody has recognized that there is a difficulty with steel overcapacity. We have also made very clear that unfair trade conditions are also at the roots of our difficulties.
The two-day summit of G20 Finance Ministers in Buenos Aires, Argentina, concluded after heated debates over U.S. tariffs on industrial metals, as well as further trade restrictions targeting mainland China. G20 officials said President Trump's policies could trigger a trade war with China, but Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin rebuked such allegations, adding the U.S. cannot sacrifice its national economic interests in favor of the interests of the global trade system.
The president has said we're not afraid of getting into a trade war given the size of our market, the size of our economy, and the fact that we have a big trade deficit. Having said that, that's not our goal.
Additionally, the summit's communique referred to last year's statement of the G20 meeting in Hamburg, Germany, recognizing the role of legitimate trade defense instruments, such as tariffs and quotas. This means G20 statements now justify President Trump's trade policies and bolster U.S. bargaining power in case of a WTO dispute in the future.
I think the starting point is that the Chinese government wants to avoid a trade war with the United States, right? So we know absolutely that they want to engage on some basis. The question is the Trump administration going to be able to put forward some direct ask of what they want, what the United States wants China to bring to the table?
The G20 summit also featured stronger ties between the U.S. and its key allies, as Germany, Japan and South Korea sought to secure exemptions from the industrial metals tariffs. According to several reports, U.S. allies could secure exemptions from the tariffs. In order to qualify, though, foreign nations reportedly must commit to cooperating with the U.S. against China at the WTO, actively curbing their exposure to the unfair Chinese trade, and show good faith in normalizing their own bilateral trade with the U.S.
We're not looking to have protectionism. What we're looking for is free and fair reciprocal trade. On the steel and aluminum issue, this is a result of unfair trade practices, and that's why we've responded that way.
This comes as President Trump is preparing to slap a $60 billion package of trade sanctions against China under the Section 301 of the Trade Act of 1974. The move is aimed at punishing China for intellectual property theft. Officials say the new restrictions will be introduced this coming Friday, the same day the tariffs of 25% on steel and 10% on aluminium imports go into effect.
There's a general view amongst the G20 that it is our desire to see China have open their markets so that we can participate in their markets the way they participate in ours, in a much more balanced and reciprocal trading relationship.
G20 officials expressed their commitment to the stability and flexibility of currency exchange rates, urging sound central bank policies as a shock absorber against future economic crises. In yet another hit at China, the G20 statement also warned against using deliberate currency devaluations as a tool to advance national exports. Previously, President Trump labeled China as a currency manipulator.
You have the massive theft of intellectual property, putting unfair taxes on our companies, not helping with the menace of North Korea like they should, and the at-will and massive devaluation of their currency and product dumping. Other than that, they've been wonderful, right?
These developments suggest the G20 summit was a success for the dollar diplomacy, as U.S. officials firmly reasserted President Trump's trade policies, secured a favorable final statement, and co-opted U.S. allies to further bolstering economic and political ties. Kristian, Rouz, One American News.
We can use your help. Call your cable provider and kindly demand that One American News is added to your lineup. Call today.